Hey everybody, welcome to Klaus to the Heart here on YouTube.com. I am Jason Klaus. We thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch the show. This episode is a two for one, come to find out. I am being joined by two of the greatest guys I have ever had the pleasure of working with in this crazy world of professional wrestling. But more importantly than that, just two of my go-to guys in real life. Two great friends, two great people, and I'm very excited to have them on this week's episode. Would you please welcome Alex and Andrew, the Steele twins? Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, Jason. It's an honor and a privilege to be interviewed or to have a conversation on your show today.
Now the pleasure is all on this side of the camera, my friend. I can attest to that. You guys are currently in Traverse City, Michigan. Is that right?
Yep, that's
All right.
correct.
How's things in Traverse City? You guys doing okay? You're healthy, you're good, and with all this craziness going on with the coronavirus and everything, how are you guys feeling?
Well, we're feeling great. I'm definitely we're both essential employees. I work at a doctor's office in Traverse City. I'm their IT guy, so naturally, I'm needed there to make sure everything's running. We actually came up with a telehealth solution. We had to go from the ground up, and I think within a week we went from not doing any telehealth visits at all to doing, I think, 15 or 20 by the end of the week, and now it's
Awesome.
really a full-time part of our workflow now, at least with the emergency going on. And why don't you you know expound upon that? Because I mean, you work at a different.
Yes, I work at the Cherry Capital Airport for TSA, the Transportation Security Administration. Basically, I make sure passengers are safe prior to coming to their planes. Whether it be a testing or pat downs or the whole 9 yards or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So Andrew, let me talk to you real quick with the whole TSA thing. Um, Man, since this pandemic has really become a thing here in the United States, I mean, we've all seen the reports. We all know, it's been here for a while. At what point has it become a thing, like a real major source of concern, particularly with your airport? Because we've all heard the stories. We all know the stats and everything of the major metropolitan cities like Detroit, Chicago, New Orleans, New York City. Traverse City, in relation, is not nearly as big as those ones, correct?
Correct. We've started to take this coronavirus very, very seriously, starting with last week when
Hmm.
we and I think it was last week when we started to leave early and got paid for administrative leave because they were trying to make it fair for all of our employees, trying to make it fair for our times. And it's one thing to, like, let's say you work 4 to 9. You get out at 6 a.m. because, quite frankly, all the planes are out there, and the next flight doesn't come out until about quarter after 10. You wouldn't want to sit there and watch TV or whatever it is and doing absolutely nothing. So there was no point in that with all this coronavirus stuff. And in fact, and we started to get a decline in passengers, and we had canceled flights, and we started receiving training for the option to wear surgical masks, and also another option to wear other masks to protect ourselves from the infected passengers.
So it's an option. You're not obligated to wear PPE, like the masks and the gloves and all that.
It's voluntary, but you do get proper training to wear it properly. Like, for instance, the nose guard. Like, if you see like the thing that points out of your face, that's the nose guard. So that's what goes in your nose, and of course the other thing goes on your chin. And it's like when you put it on, you gotta make sure there's some straps on there. There's like some you can tie it on there as well. But when you gotta take it off, don't go for the mask. You gotta take it from the strings and take it off, throw it away that way, because the mask gets contaminated after a while.
Right, and I heard a story that on March 16th, which was, I believe, last Monday.
Yeah.
Somebody came through the Capitol Airport, and they tested positive for the virus. So I think he doesn't work Mondays usually, so he kind of dodged a bullet there. But nonetheless,
Hmm.
as a result, the airport's become kind of a hot spot. So
Sure.
I would like to say that just from my side, we started really. The key thing for me was that when sports started, when the sports started getting canceled, I was like, okay, wow, they just canceled the NCAA tournament, and then
Right.
the NBA started shutting down. It was like we went from okay, this thing might not be a big deal to okay, well, this is really serious, and they're really starting to take it seriously. So yeah, I would say this past week and the week before definitely was when things really started to ramp up.
So, Alex, you are at a doctor's office. Is it a major doctor's office? Do you have? I mean, what's the situation like there? I would imagine, you know, there's a lot of tension right now. Um, are you guys having to do things differently with patients who think that they may be infected with the virus? And do you have anything to do with that in terms what you with the IT part of it? I understand that, but do you come in contact with patients?
No, I do not. We do have a triage process for those patients that are having respiratory symptoms,
Hmm.
those that have had known contact with suspected cases, travel in hotbed areas such as Italy or China or what have you.
Sure.
Um, if we have those situations, they're being sent to a different part of our building and seen by a special respiratory team. We also have people wearing personal protective equipment and going out to people's cars to take swabs to get tests sent to the hospital. It's a private doctor's office, and our office has about 14 providers in it, and we have a patient base of about 16 to 17,000 patients.
Wow.
So yeah, it's one of the major private doctor's offices in Traverse City. Um,
Gotcha.
we're right under the shadow of the Munson Hospital, but we're privately owned. Um, as for me, I do not come in direct contact with patients, but I do always take the precaution to sanitize my hands, and if I have to cough or sneeze, I go and do so into my sleeve like this. Um, so I've mostly been out of the loop with developing processes. That's been department managers' jobs. I'm just there to make sure the telehealth stuff is working. People's computers are working, and people can continue to put in their data in their medical records, their electronic medical record software.
Have you had any kind of issues with like an influx of people coming in that is shutting down your system or making it drag, anything like that?
No, nobody's really. I think because of the efficiency of our existing process and the process that we came up with, we haven't had really an influx of patients. In fact, I think it's just been the opposite. Since we went live with telehealth, we've actually had a drop in patients coming in, and
Okay.
most of our visits are being done from home now.
Okay.
I mean, like the nurses are still at the doctor's office, but everybody's calling in from home now. So
Gotcha.
we definitely haven't had any situations where suddenly like 20 or 30 or 40 people all are lining up out the door at the special suite to be seen. um, we have protocols in place to either send them to the hospital if they have respiratory distress or or what have you, so we have processes in place to handle all that.
All right. Well, the important thing is that you guys are safe, you guys are healthy. It certainly appears to be that way. So thank God for that, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
let's put that off to the side right now because I mean it's all over the news. You can't turn anything on, TV, radio, the internet. I mean it's all over the place. Let's
Absolutely.
focus on the Steel twins.
Yep. Sure.
Um, you guys, I can only imagine what your childhood was like.
Mhm.
I have known you two for a long time now.
Mhm.
Was
Mm-hmm.
it
About
2004 when
four.
you guys
2004.
came?
Yep,
Okay.
that was October, I
It
believe.
was October 23rd, 2004. That's when we attended our first show.
Yeah, Mr. Encyclopedia over here.
Right.
You'll see a
Right.
lot of that tonight, I'm sure.
Well, before we get there, walk me through your childhood. What was it like growing up as the Steele twins?
Well, I'll tell you, Andrew and I, since birth, we've been best of friends.
Sure.
I don't recall any early recollections of any like major fighting. I mean, not outside, nothing outside of sibling rivalry. I'm sure you and Jeff, your brother Jeff, have had, but
Oh yeah.
but for the most part, we did pretty much everything together. We stuck together. Although, when we first started going to school, we recently had a conversation with our mom and dad, and we, found out a couple of things about ourselves. Like, what do you like? I remember, didn't we go to separate schools?
Yeah, we went to separate schools starting in first grade. We were in Central for kindergarten together. Then first grade came along, and I stayed in Central, and Alex transferred to Seiple. And
Now, Seiple Elementary, right there. I believe it's off Coldwater and Gale Road. I'm not exactly sure what the address is, but I do remember the cross streets. He would not talk.
oh yeah, I basically I had speech issues, so yeah, I wouldn't talk because I don't know if I was scared or I don't even know what to say. So they took me to like a speech therapist. I believe his name was Mr. Stefan, and he would have puppets like Mr. Pazoo and Ono, and it has helped me speak throughout the day.
I think the major problem is that he would rely on me to do all the talking. We were both
Sure.
very smart. We knew what we wanted, but we would just point at stuff and not use words because we knew what we wanted, but we just didn't want to say it.
Yeah,
We didn't
Sure.
think like, they know they must know what we're talking about. We're pointing right at it. But
Yeah, my dad was talking to me about the one day he'll never forget. I was a little kid, and my dad would tell me to say cookie, and I would just point at it, and it would take about 30, 45 minutes until he finally said cookie, It was frustrating for them, but I managed to say cookie after like 45 minutes. I just kept pointing, man, because
I think there there were a lot of certainly weren't any trials and tribulations that other people might have had. I would say for the most part, our childhood was great. We just might have had some difficulty, getting started, if you will. But I mean, other than that, I would say that our childhood was fairly normal.
yeah, I would say,
So the lack of speech, the lack of communication, was that the core reason why your parents had you in different schools, so that you would be forced to communicate on your own? Was that the reason, behind all that?
yeah, I would have to say that would be the reason behind us being separated. The fact that I couldn't talk, and they would teach me to speak on, and they teach me to read and things of that nature, and that way I wouldn't rely on my Alex to talk all the time, And I eventually got the hang of it. I eventually got to eventually got the hang of the speech portion of these things. But yeah, that's speech was probably the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how long were you guys in separate schools for? Did you go to high school together?
We
you
did,
go back
yes.
together at the same high school?
So what we were at separate schools until we went to sixth grade, and we went to the Davison Middle School. Together.
Okay.
We went to homeroom together. We did have several different classes or whatever. We were a couple of suburbs, but we were in science class together. Then we went to St. Then on seventh grade, we transferred ourselves to St. Pius and 10th, and we were there together for the most part.
Yep. We had to move in November of '95.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that my father at the time was serving in the Flint Police Department, and he had to move in closer to the city. I don't know if there was some sort of edict by the mayor or if it was an edict passed down by the police force, but we had to move, and we moved into a house, in a suburban Flint on Radcliffe Avenue, where we would spend the next 17 years. But yep, that is when sixth grade on we went to school together. We rarely had the same classes together, but nonetheless we would still go to the same school.
Eventually, Alex moved out on his own in 2007. That's when
I think we can get to. I think we might get to that point. I don't know if we're quite there yet. Let's see. Let's keep the train on the tracks.
All right, so that's great. MWO comes up. MWO comes into play. Talk me through what brought you to the MWO. You said a few moments ago that you came and saw a show first.
Yep.
Was it at Terry's Lounge?
It was at Terry's Lounge. It was October 16th, or it was 2004, somewhere around there. It was the show after Tricker Slam.
Okay.
A little bit before that, we were working for an independent promotion by the name of Michigan Franchise Wrestling.
Yep.
Just really brief. We reffed a couple of shows there. He got his break as a ring announcer. We did a couple of shows, including an entire weekend at the Holy Rosary Church. I went out to, and then Blue Water Championship Wrestling was putting on a show the same day as Tricker Slam, and we sat in the crowd and we watched that show. Then, as fate would have it, we found out about the MWO. Hey, come on over for a show, and lo and behold, we sat in like the second row at Terry's Lounge, and one match in particular that I remember to this day was a television championship match, or an Impact championship match at the time, between champion Damon Gray and challenger Night Shift, who goes on the independent scene these days as Jeff Brooks or Chaz Montana. Night Shift picked up the victory against Damon Gray, and then I remember he threw the belt down and stormed to the back, and I had a puzzled look on my face. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what that was all about, but that's just one event that stuck out in my mind, and that's one of the first shows that I remember. So, and then
pretty cool that you got to see him in that light, and then knowing what he would become, because he's gone on and done some pretty incredible things. He's, really branched out and become one of the most talented guys in the state. So for you guys to see him, virtually in his beginning, stages of his career, that's pretty cool. So what made you decide you wanted to be a part of the MWO? You had already had, you dipped your toe in the water, so to speak, with MFW and then with Blue Water. What made you decide you wanted to be a part of the MWO?
Well, I think the number one thing was you guys were close by. You were right down the road, as opposed to having to drive across the state to get to Port Huron, or drive across I-69 to get to Flint. You're right there on Fenton Road past 12th Street. Drive by the paint brick every time. And plus, it looked like it was a lot of fun. I remember walking up to you. I think it was second. Yeah,
it was September 6th. No, it was November 6th. And, we came up to you, and we asked if you guys could use some help. And you said, "Oh yeah, we could always use some help." And lo and behold, you hired us, him as a referee, myself as a ring announcer, and to me, I thought that was one of the biggest things that I could do for you guys, is to offer you some ring announcer help, because I couldn't, because I remember you and David Hill had to share ring announcing duties backstage while we were watching the shows prior to. So, and I thought to myself, well, if I would be ring announcer, that would help them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right place at the right time, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
So, man, Andrew, you were the ring announcer. Alex was the referee, correct?
That
yeah,
is
I was a
correct.
ring announcer. He's a referee.
Okay. At what were you content with those roles? Did you come in thinking that your respective duties that you had at that point was fine? You were happy with that, or did you always have aspirations, to be wrestlers?
Yeah, well, at first we were content with being ring announcer and of course ring and referee respectively, but when we were actually given the opportunity to be actual wrestlers, I thought, why not?
I would say that it was an aspiration of ours. We understood that sometimes that wasn't going to come right away, but ever since we saw that independent show in August of that year, and we saw people in our own area that was doing the same things basically that people in WWE were doing, we're thinking, okay, if those guys can do it, we can do it, and we'd like to try to get involved. So, and I know that we wanted to be a tag team because it obviously made sense. When you have twins and who know each other as well as they do, I mean, how can you not put them in a tag team? But
Right.
we knew the score. We knew what we came in to do, but we always had an aspiration to become wrestlers, and thankfully, that aspiration came to fruition.
How long was it before the time you guys came into the company to when you made your in-ring debut?
It was it was actually a month after our MWO debuts. It was the Christmas Clash. The show, we did a match before the Christmas Clash card.
Yep.
It was ourselves against Night Shift and Zero in a dark match. And,
Poor Josh Westfall.
yeah.
He was a trooper that night. Let's just say that. But I do fondly can say, in a trivia question, the very first professional wrestling match of my career and my brother's as well was against Night Shift. We had him across the ring, so we worked with someone who would become Jeff Brooks. I would actually argue and contend that the actual debut happened at WrestleRama 12 at Bentley Middle School. And, we had the gimmick set up. We had the leather jackets and our wrestling tights. There was this team you probably know, and wrestling fans will know, of a tag team in the WWE known as the Acolyte Protection Agency. So the idea was thrown around. Well, you guys are wearing leather jackets. Why don't you guys become the Steele Brothers Protection Agency? And the tagline that I remember was, "We'll protect you, but who will protect us?"
My goodness.
I remember, and I remember like we also had a Sean Levi Blue. God bless him. He put together what would become our ring music for many, many years. It would start off with the Right to Censor sirens, and then it would break off, and there would be a "Y'all ready for this?" and then the theme from the Six Flags Park would start. And then the two of us would just come out dancing to the ring. I remember that I ran all the way over to where the bleachers were and started dancing in front of the fans. And Andrew had to come grab me. He's like, hey, come on, get in the ring. He's like, well, okay, let's get this started. But I would say that match, that day, was the debut of the Steele Brothers.
Who did you work with on that show?
We worked with two wrestlers named Aaron Orion and Evan Epic, the Prophets of Impact. And
that's something.
Yeah, and everybody knows, if you're in Michigan Indies now, Aaron Orion is a card-carrying member of the Death Threat Army now. It's amazing to see how far he's come in his career.
Absolutely.
Especially since, he came in right before we did, with all the a group of guys, they were known as the Zits.
Zebras in
training. Yep.
Oh.
And, and they all, blossomed into true independent workers, and look at where they are now. So so much fun working with those guys.
Pretty amazing that, the early goings of your career, you're mixing it up with guys that would go on to become big names on the independent circuit. And what I remember, when you said the Steele Brothers Protection Agency, I remember designing your guys' T-shirts.
Yep.
With that slogan on it, and I think we used an old promo pic that we took outside of Terry's Lounge.
Yes, we
Terry's
did.
Lounge was such a huge part of our story, of our history. That was our home venue for a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
And what we knew that we could get the Terry's Lounge crowd to pop for you guys, because those people ate up everything that we did.
Yeah.
The bad guys were booed, the good guys were cheered. You guys were unique. You were twins. You stood out. The music was perfect for you guys. But I remember going into Bentley for WrestleRama, and the pop that you guys got there. At first, they weren't really sure what to make of you, but when you guys started getting into your shtick and you started doing your like Alex, your dance routine and everything, from that day on, man, the Steele twins became bona fide superstars. Did you feel that?
Oh my God, did we ever?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Bentley had amazing energy and a packed crowd. So obviously, yes, we did feel that energy. And everyone, looking back on it, everyone did appreciate us. I've had moments where I've sat back and I've actually thought, well, geez, what's really going on here? But as we're sitting here and talking right now about days gone by, I can safely say that we have in some small shape or form made an impact, not just in the organization, but on its fans as well, old and new.
Absolutely. There is no doubt about that. You guys would go on to win a couple tag team championships. We actually had you guys break up there for a little bit. You guys had a feud.
Yep,
right?
I remember that.
You guys had a one-on-one match. Was it at one of the bunkhouse brawls?
There was two of them. The one-on-one match was at Christmas Clash, and the submission match was at Bunkhouse.
Yep.
Okay.
2016 going into 2017.
No, it's 2006.
2006 and then 2007. Yep, I'm getting my dates mixed up already, but yep, that's
Alex,
what it was.
You were the heel, right?
I was the bad guy at that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because years later, when we would when the Awesome Alliance thing came into play, and we had Andrew turn heel, I'm like, I don't know if Andrew can be a heel, but he proved us wrong.
Man, I mean, seriously, I took some advice from some guys saying, tell him to shut up or just and so it's called. I turned it up to an 11. 2011 was one heck of a year for me, man. From the formation of the Awesome Alliance to becoming a Triple Crown champ, to my longest title reign to date.
Yeah.
So before that happened, Alex, you took time off. You left the company. What was the backstory there?
So my last match to start things off with at the time was Tricker Slam 2009. I remember this. We were at the Hadley Town Hall inside, where I'm sure many a WrestleRama had taken place before, and where some of the the birth of the MWO was. So it was definitely an honor to be in Hadley. So I remember this. I still have it in my room to this day, but you had made a magazine cover of the MWO magazine, and I was on the front, and you said, here you are on the front cover of MWO magazine, and now you're going to retire? I remember that vividly. But yes, my last tag team match was against two gentlemen. I really think they didn't get the chance that they deserved And if I could have done anything over again, I would have put them over. Kurt Chaos and Stephen Blade, the Phoenix Project.
Yeah.
But Kurt, being the consummate professional that he is, he had me go in the ring and put him in an ankle lock, and he tapped out. So he gave me a win to send me off. Again, I think that tag team really could have been something. We don't know for sure. But I remember, he told me he was proud of me, and then I used that to try to cap him off on his singles run, because there was something really special that was going on with you. I mean, you had a statistic going for you, did you not?
Yeah. Basically, it was that Alex gave me a blessing that I would go after the Michigan Wrestling Organization Championship. There was actually a story on that magazine saying, MWO champion Andrew Steele, don't count it out. Sure enough, two months later, it was December 19th, 2009, the Christmas Clash. It was you and me and Jason Platinum in a three-way dance, where I eventually eliminated Jason Platinum, and I was actually told backstage that you were going to finish me off with a basher bomb, but unfortunately, as fate would have it, I kicked out. I actually overheard the referee tell me, kick out. And so I did. And then I, went to go for the spear, and I actually speared you in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, and the crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, I did not see that coming from a country mile.
Okay. So everybody in the building, or not in the building, but everybody backstage going into Christmas Clash of 09 knew what the real ending was. Because I had told everybody, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're telling Andrew, but this is what's really happening. Because at the time, I was a red hot heel. And Platinum, he was kind of the tweener. He had his fans, but he was, he had heel tendencies. I was red hot as the heel. You were the ultimate underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And the match in November that I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember watching backstage that match that you had in November. I'm like, we have to capitalize on this. And we had done so many events at Terry's Lounge. We went like every other week for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
But we had never had that kind of atmosphere that we had at Christmas Clash. And when you hit me with one spear and I kicked out of it, in hindsight, I wish I hadn't, because the crowd was in the palm of our hands, man. And I mean, when you hit, everybody popped, and you went for the pin, and they counted together 1, 2. I kicked out. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening." So when we called for the second spear, I'm like, this is going to be perfect. This is going to be perfect. I still have it on video on my hard drive, because it's one of those moments where, from a promoter's standpoint, it couldn't have been more perfect. The crowd or the roster came out and they hoisted you up, and I was the pissed off ex-champion and blah blah blah. But man, that was so much fun. And I remember telling my brother backstage, I wish Alex had been a part of this in some way, shape, or form.
If I don't
think, Alex, we didn't tell you ahead of time, did we? Or
I don't,
because I know we had talked about me contacting you to tell you that we were going to put the strap on Andrew, but I don't know if we had or not.
I was not told until after the show, and Andrew called me. He barely had any voice, but he walked me through the match, and I'm like, and when he told me that he won, I was absolutely shocked and ecstatic. But I mean, and I came to the Terry's Lounge show the very next show, and I was in the front row, like across from the entrance, and I remember, just grabbing Andrew by the face and going, "You did it, man! You did it! I know you're proud of you." So that was a great watershed moment in not just in his career, but certainly MWO history.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. My high school friends were there to see that. That was so very special to me, and I really wish they could have attended more shows, but I'm pretty sure they. I remember them attending another show. That's for a little bit later on. But yeah, my high school friends were there, and I even brought my championship to a wedding reception. So, yeah, I actually brought the championship to a wedding reception, and we took pictures there.
Nice.
Nothing like stealing somebody else's thunder on their special day, pal.
Epitome of living the gimmick.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I remember that now. Now that you say that, I remember your friends being there because they were so excited for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, God, man, that's one of those moments I will remember for the rest of my life for a number of reasons. As a performer, as a promoter, as your friend, as somebody that watched you start from ground zero to come back up and become the MWO champion. Nobody would have seen that coming.
Right.
So, we could sit here for hours on end and talk about your, the history of your career. Because my God, you guys have brains like an encyclopedia, right? You can pull out any date. Oh, on that day I worked this guy and I wore this color tights and all this other stuff. Alex, when you came back to the company, what were you hoping to follow in your brother's footsteps in terms of a solo career? Were you looking to get the tag team thing back together? What do you think when you came back? What was your ultimate goal?
Really, I just wanted to come back because I had taken time off before because I just couldn't make shows. I was in Grand Rapids. I was driving back and forth. I thought, okay, it wasn't working out. But then, and I had a relationship that ultimately didn't work out. And soon after, I ended up coming back. Ironically, I came back the show after the WrestleRama, where the Awesome Alliance ceased to be. Really, I kind of did want to have some sort of solo career, but I've always been of the mentality that do what you're asked, because there may be a situation where the tag team might work out for a couple of months. And, people might be excited to see you guys back together. I was always willing to do what you guys, asked me to do. Yes, I did have aspirations. I did have solo aspirations. I think I mentioned it to you after a show, right after we dropped off the equipment, where it's like, hey, I want to try to focus on a solo career. But, when I came back in 2013, it was just... I just want to get back. I think, I missed wrestling for 4 years, and it's like, it honestly felt like, though, that I hadn't been gone, all but a month. I remember seeing some old footage of when we were wearing the red and blue singlets, working, guys like the Cartiers and, Greatness Incorporated with Jack Price. There's another one. That went on to some fame. Sure. And then I had the privilege of being Andrew's corner man in the spectacular Trick or Slam match with Jack Price. But to kind of put a bow on this part of the conversation, I wanted to do a solo career, but I also knew that if something was asked of me, I'd go ahead and do it.
Right. With no complaints whatsoever. We've had you guys do some stupid crap over the course of your career, especially Andrew, when you were heel, when you were in the Awesome Alliance. I specifically remember we were at the bridge.
Oh yes,
and Ooga Booga, right?
Yeah. Yes, Ooga Booga
and Uncle Hector.
Yes, yep. Lost and found. So, okay.
Take it away, package.
Walk us through it, brother. This is a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, so here's the story. It was like the show before WrestleRama. It was right around St. Patrick's Day, and I was told that I was going to be running around like I was being chased by a leprechaun. They were.
You were.
I was the leprechaun, and Lost and Found were chasing me around. And they eventually caught me, and Ooga Booga was like, "Where's the gold?" Like, I didn't have gold. And then they eventually challenged me to a
hangout
match where if I lost, I would hang out for these two individuals for 24 hours. Like I would go to Chuck E. Cheese with them, I would go to the house with them, all that. I would do all this ridiculous stuff with them for 24 hours. And of course, if I won, they would leave me alone for a while. Sure enough, my match came and I lost. And
but I have to pump the brakes here because I remember before the match, before the show, Andrew and I went to the Kmart across the street from. We went to Bentley High School or middle school. We went to Bentley again. Another packed crowd, another great WrestleRama. We went to the Kmart across the street because Sean Levi had said to Andrew, "Hey, you need to go and get some like ridiculous boxer shorts or something, so that when we roll you up for the pin, you know." You'd have these ridiculous boxer shorts, and I swear to you, we found a pair of boxer shorts with Elmo on them.
Yeah. So yeah, I lost the match with bare Elmo shorts. And
what happened to the shorts when they rolled you up, though?
They ripped. They were ripped.
so yeah, they're. Oh my gosh! So. The single greatest injustice that has ever been committed in the Michigan Wrestling Organization is that footage of this hangout stipulation was not made available. I mean, they had ideas. If only they would have put something together. I mean, I think it's a travesty of epic proportions that did not take place.
Yeah, I know. And going back to the bridge for a second here, after I was tied up, I remember getting dumped Lucky Charms all over me, and I remember getting a cupcake to my face. It was all happening during intermission. I was still tied up as the leprechaun, and to this day, these fans just kept chanting leprechaun. I just kept going, "Shut up! I am not a leprechaun!" You know.
So funny.
So
such
fun.
Great stuff.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. I mean, that's obviously, that wouldn't be considered highlight reel material. That's not going to go on the best of DVD.
I would put it on there, shoot.
Of course you would. But looking back, has there ever been a piece of business where you were asked to do so? Because I know that anytime we asked you to do anything, you did it. Whether you agreed with it or not, we were none the wiser because you just said yeah. But looking back, was there anything that you were asked to do? Was there any program that you were signed on to that you just, in your heart of hearts, you knew you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway?
I honestly cannot think of one program or one task that I was given or assigned that I thought, man, I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've never that there might have been one or two things, and I don't remember what they are off top, that might have been like, oh boy, but but really, I mean, I always looked at it as I had an opportunity to perform in front of a crowd, and I had an opportunity to wrestle almost every single time I came to the MWO to do a show. So I was always thankful for that. So I honestly can't think of anything that I've done in my career that I regret doing. There might be something that pops up in my head after the fact, but right this very second, I can't think of anything.
What about you, Andrew? Aside from the whole leprechaun thing.
I don't think there was anything. I have to agree with Alex. There wasn't anything that I didn't want to do either. I mean, like you said, you gave it to me, I do it, man. I'm all over that stuff. But there were some things I really wanted to do, like there was one time I really wanted to face Azrael, aka David Hill. I really wanted that, and I did. I wanted to be television champion. I remember telling you that, and sure enough, I did. But the last thing I wanted to do was say what I wanted to do and say, okay, well, you can't do that right now, and I didn't want to complain about it. I just had to. I knew I had to earn it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And kind of like piggybacking off of that statement, I remember, Andrew was talking to me about, well, it would be great if I was television champion. I told him, well, you know what? Just go ahead and ask. The worst thing that can happen is that someone would say no.
Right.
And I would tell him that. Of course, this is a little bit of a peel behind the curtain. I've always been under of the mentality that opportunities are given to those who truly work and earn for it. I've never really asked for, a major storyline or a championship. I just thought, okay, if I keep working hard enough, if I keep giving it my all, it will come my way eventually. I don't know if we can segue to this because it's still kind of a jump between the WrestleRama that we just discussed and the proposed story. But the one thing I do remember, it was just an innocuous Facebook post. Hey, I'd like to have some sort of Rocky moment. That would be cool. And lo and behold, I think about 2 years ago this June, that Rocky moment happened.
Yeah, I was gone away from the company at the time.
So yeah.
Yeah, right. Because you guys kind of reverse roles there. Andrew, you took off to focus on your job, right? You were being forced to move to a different area. Was that right?
Yes. It was May 28th, 2017. I was hired into TSA. It was my hire date, and I remember my last day at Kroger was May 25th. That was on a Thursday, and moving day was the next day, Friday, May 26th, where I moved all my stuff from my apartment to this condo right here, and I've lived there since then. So,
yep.
And I couldn't. And of course, my last show was WrestleRama 23, and we had a match with the Dean Boys, and then we had another match with the team now known as the Epidemic, the team then known as the Valor Society, Loco and DJ Edwards. They were a tag team. I would love to face them again one day. I don't know. Not sure when the opportunity presents itself, but yeah, that was my last show before I left for Traverse City, and of course I was away for like over a year. Until all of a sudden I got my schedule changed. And I said, well, I get Sundays off now. So now that I got Sundays off, that's when I returned to the MWO at Soberfest 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In the meantime, Alex, you went on to become television champion.
Yep.
And you and I had a little bit of a program there, and I remember setting up for that. We were writing everything down, and I remember thinking, man, this is Alex's turn, right? Because Andrew had his turn when Alex was gone. Now Andrew's gone. Alex is getting his shot, and man, sure enough, you knocked it right out of the park. We did a title switch. We did the title switch back to the show, right?
Yep, that was a show.
We had Andrew involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
It was.
Just leading up to that Slamathon of 2018, that is a night that I will always look back fondly on because I defeated 3 men in one night, to become MW television champion, including someone that I'm very close, dear friends with, and has helped shape my career. He's known as Scotty Freytown. I defeated him. Well, I defeated DJ Edwards in the first round first, and then Scotty Freytown in the second round. Which we've always had great matches when we've been in the ring together. And then I defeated Jeremiah. At the time, it was JJ Hughes, and kind of a similar theme. I was told, this is the spot that's going to end the match. And then I went to go hit a ripcord, and he went JJ's finisher was he was doing a ripcord cutter, but I turned it into a spear at the very last second, and I went to go pin, and I heard Jeremy say, congratulations. I'm like, oh my gosh, they fooled me again. So I think that's kind of been a common theme with me throughout my career. More often than not, I'll be told one thing, and the next thing you know, I'm winning a belt or I'm winning a big match. And this past WrestleRama, when we did it to Adrian Anderson, Orville Houston was in the back, and he made this comment. He was like, "Adrian got steeled." So anytime that happens now, that is the term that is used, is that someone got steeled. They were told one thing, but something else happened, but it was the design all along. So,
Right.
but yeah, I want to go into the Soberfest thing that year, because I remember you sent me a message and you said, hey pal, Soberfest wants me to main event the show. What do you think about dropping the TV title to me, and then I'll drop it right back to you next month. I said, absolutely, let's do it. I was totally fine with the program. The only thing that that was the year that I think we had to park our cars in the assembly parking lot, across the highway. So we had to take shuttle buses to get to Soberfest. Well, they stopped running at about 3 o'clock, and the show went till about 4, and there was barely anybody in the crowd from what I could remember. Still had a great match, still had a great moment of me passing the belt off up to you and saying, hey, you know what, this isn't over between us, but still, I'm like, if they would have just had something together where people would be able to get in their cars or park over there or something, I think we might have had a bigger draw at the end of the night.
Right.
But that's
I remember that because they started making the announcement that the last shuttle was leaving and people were freaking out because, like you said, they had parked over at one of the other plants, down the road there. But yeah, but still, I mean, the term "you got steeled." I didn't realize that had become like an inside term backstage. So that's pretty fun. But is because I'm one for I want to see raw, real emotion and response, real time response. If you know going into it, this is what's going to happen. Yeah, you're excited about it, but you're not going to get that organic, that 100% real reaction. We did
agreed.
the same thing with Andrew when we decided that we were going to put the MWO title on him. You with the TV title, I remember calling that match the
Mhm.
finals of the tournament,
Yeah.
and just to see your face and how excited you were. Carrie, my wife Carrie, she knew what was happening, and she got a great picture of you. And I've been meaning to blow it up and actually have a printed out for you, but it is one of my favorite pictures
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever seen from one of our shows. And you talk about thousands of pictures, right? We've
Hmm.
had some great people take pictures, Kim Buckman and
Yep.
Keith Lenko, and we have amazing you know, photos taken. But that one that she took after you won the TV title is absolutely priceless. But
Hmm.
um, it goes, and we're kind of getting towards the end of this thing here. But I
Hmm.
wanted to. One of the reasons why initially, for the viewers, this was going to be a one-on-one conversation between myself and Alex. I didn't realize that Andrew was there, so this really turned out to be almost perfect, right? Because I
Hmm.
get both of the Steel twins. You guys went into the MWO Hall of Fame a few years back, but you're nowhere near done, right? I mean,
Yep.
you guys have a lot of gas in the tank. You're still very viable to the MWO fans. Is there anything left for you guys on your bucket list for the lack of a better term, as far as your wrestling careers go?
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna let him go first.
yeah, definitely. I believe he and I definitely have one more tag team championship reign in us. In one way, shape, or form. 5-time tag team champions, long before we're gone here.
That'd be nice. What else would you like to do?
I know that as much as and there are other couple of things. Well, I would like to go back to ring announcing because that was something I thoroughly enjoyed when I first went back then. But I also really want to do commentary, and I know that I would do a heck of a job as a heel on commentary, especially a guy with whoever it may be, whether it be Simon Page or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I would love.
Well, Simon Page is out of here, so take him out of the equation.
That's right. So there may be an opening for you.
Yeah.
As far as I go, I have yet to lay claim to the MWO championship, so that would be one thing I'd put on my bucket list, and couple that with another, possibly win the Buckhouse Brawl to do so. I mean, again, it's probably going to be a long shot because, as you said, we've been affiliated with the MWO for almost a good 15 years now. Almost 16. So I understand that that's probably, like you said, a bucket list thing, and possibly a pipe dream, and I realize that. I honestly also wouldn't mind, afterwards, settling into commentary or, helping with, helping in a backstage capacity. I wouldn't mind being a backstage interviewer now that I sit here and think about it. Just something I didn't think about, but. If I was going to have a bucket list item, obviously, having the 5th tag team championship reign, that would be nice. But, winning the MWO championship, that would be nice too. But I think realistically, just being able to help the company in other ways and allowing other people to, get their spot in line, and to offer my expertise where it is, applicable. If somebody has a question about how to take a bump, or somebody has a question on how to take a spot, or how something would make sense. Why would you do this instead of that? If you're doing this just for the sake of this, it doesn't make sense. But if you do it this way, it'll garner a better reaction. Not to say that I'm an authority on the figure. On authority on the subject, but I guess I've been in the ring enough to kind of, tell some of those basic nuances.
Well, you certainly have a tremendous amount of experience, and as we wrap this thing up, I know Alex, you are actually taking your career elsewhere too. At the same time, I know you have been working with Scotty Freytown and a number of other independent superstars, Rick Cartier, and
Yep.
going and trying your hand in different organizations, and that's absolutely fantastic because both of you guys have so much heart. My God, you guys, they broke the mold when they made you. You've always been go-to guys. Your work ethic is second to none. Your determination, your passion for the business, at least in my estimation, working with you for, our organization, just you're head and shoulders above everybody else. And I cannot begin to thank you enough for everything that you guys have ever done, behind the scenes, in the show, whatever the case was, whatever you were called upon for, you did it. You knocked it out of the park without complaining, without crying. You never had an ego, and you guys deserve the absolute best in life, not just in the business, but life in general, because you two are genuine, good people, and I believe that good things come to good people, and
I certainly appreciate.
It gets no better than Alex and Andrew Steele.
Well, I appreciate that, but just to throw that back to you, if you hadn't taken a chance on two dumb kids from Flint, Michigan, that snowy November night, we probably wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. I am extremely thankful for the opportunities that you've given the both of us. Just getting in, being able to get into the ring, month after month, and the friendships that I forged with not just you, but our good friend Jim, Randy Schilling. Yeah. Yep, Randy Schilling. Was kind of took me under his wing as a referee. Just really quick snippet. We refereed a WrestleRama main event together, a 4-way Iron Man match. Somehow we made it work.
Yeah.
But just, the countless times we would pull up to the house and we would talk about Tigers baseball or what was going on in the WWE, AEW, or, the whole, what was going on with product on TV. I always, enjoy those conversations. And, when this whole virus thing gets over with, brother, we're going to take this to the next level. I'm pretty sure that there are going to be at least 20 to 30 guys and gals that are going to want to hit the ground running as soon as we're able to do shows again. Because
Absolutely.
I think, just being cooped up in quarantine for a month or two is probably enough to send anybody over the edge. And we, for two, are very much looking forward to getting back in the ring.
As we all are, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, when this whole pandemic thing kind of runs its course and we are able to start doing more shows and get back on the ground running, as you say, certainly, and resume our normal operations. But gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure for me to sit here with you this afternoon and to have this conversation with you. Like I said, earlier we could be here for hours.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned Jim Burgett, and
oh, boy.
well, you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Yes, you are.
One of his favorite pictures.
Yeah, oh my gosh. He sends it to me every once in a great while. He'll still send me that picture. Oh boy, him and his HA.
I may throw it up on here when see what I did there. I may put it on here when we do the editing process. But again, hey, you guys are $1 million dudes, and I'd go to bat for you any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So with that, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me here. For Close to the Heart, it's a different endeavor than your normal wrestling show, but
absolutely,
would love to have you back on in future episodes and talk about other topics. So take care of yourselves at this time, with all the craziness going on with the coronavirus. And with that, for the rest of you, thank you for tuning in to this week here on Close to the Heart on YouTube. That is Andrew and Alex Steele. And for all the latest news and information about Close to the Heart, when our podcast drops, just follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Close to the Heart. With that, we thank you so much, and we will see you soon right here on Close to the Heart.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys. It's well worth your time.